Hey witches, Tiffany here on Bewitching.Bemused, as usual. Today I want to talk about something that is very foundational for witchcraft and for many different magical practices. And it's two different things, technically, and those things are centering and grounding. Today I'm going to talk about what they are, why they're important, and how to do them. Now, the reason that both of these are very foundational is because they are sort of the prep work to beginning working with energy. And obviously working with energy is a huge part of magical practice for most people. So these practices not only help you to sense the energy in yourself, but it also helps you to move it, helps you to gather it, helps you to gather more, dispel extra, and also it helps you to direct it. So anytime in any of my videos I say, now, charge up this item for this spell. If you don't know how to properly center, you may not know how to properly channel your energy into that item that you're charging up. Or if you don't know how to ground, you may not be able to do that without feeling completely exhausted and depleted at the end of each of your spells. So, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's start with centering. Admittedly, centering can mean something different depending on which magical tradition you're looking at, but I would say in most, I'm not going to say all, but I would say that in most, and of course when I'm referring to it, what I'm talking about is gathering your own energy into a central point. Please keep in mind that there are several techniques out there on how to center. I'm just going to give you mine, the one that I do, the one that I've learned. If you don't like it, if it doesn't work for you, by all means, go out and research another one. I'm just laying the groundwork to help you get started. We all have energy in our bodies. It is running through our bodies, and the purpose of centering, as I mentioned, is to gather it into one central location in your center. When you're able to do that, you are taking sort of condensed energy and you're pulling from that, as opposed to just using, I guess, wisps here and there. I'm maybe not phrasing that right. Also, gathering it into one particular point makes it a lot easier to move all of that energy at once, as well as to focus it. Now, I've been meditating and I've been centering and grounding for a really long time. So centering my energy for me is a pretty quick process and it's pretty easy, but it does take some time to master. But if it takes you a little bit longer, there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, if you're brand new to this or if you're sort of a beginner, I do encourage you to really take your time. Focus your consciousness on what point of the body, where you're moving the energy, where's it going, what does it feel like. Slow it down, take your time with it. Eventually you will also master it with practice and you'll be able to do it really quick. So first, set yourself up as if you're going to do a full meditation. Mute your phone, block out any kind of distractions, make sure you're going to be uninterrupted. And then you can sit down, you can lay down, you can stand to do this. It's really up to you. Just make sure that you're relaxed. Take a few deep, relaxing breaths, and then allow your breath to return to sort of an even pace, natural and effortless. Now I want you to take a moment and visualize all of the energy floating and flowing through your body. This is going to look like different things to different people. For you, it might be fire, it might be glitter, it might be some sort of shimmery, gooey material, I don't know. It could be water or light. I know for me, it sort of looks like a purple cloud, like a thunder cloud with electricity buzzing through it. Once you get a grasp of visualizing it in whatever form that takes for you, I want you to try to feel it. This can be a little bit tricky in the beginning, and take your time. Like I said, really take your time, slow yourself down. You do not need to rush through this, and experiment with it a little bit. If you're having difficulty kind of placing your awareness throughout your body in that way, start off with just your hand. Okay, hold your hand in front of your face and look at your index finger. Look at the tip of your index finger and just focus on it. Try to feel the energy inside the tip of that finger. Now, once you're able to feel that, try to move it. Try to move it down your finger. staying internal, and if it helps, keep your eyes on that point and move your eyes down your finger and back up. As you're eventually you will feel it. It will just take some practice, but just try bringing that awareness, that energy, move it down and back up. Do that a few times, down and back up. Then eventually I want you to move it down your finger and then try to move it into the palm of your hand. Feel it sitting there, feel it buzzing there. Maybe try to move it in a circular motion. You just want to get used to that feeling of literally feeling that energy and moving your focus throughout different parts of your body. It takes a certain mind-body connection that if you're perhaps a dancer or an athlete, somebody who works with their body a lot, you might have a bit of a better grasp on, but for the average person, it can take a little bit of time and practice. And when you start, look at that part of your body, and then eventually try to do it looking away. Try to do it with your eyes closed. Try to look at the opposite one. Look at the left hand and feel it moving in the right hand. It's just something that you really want to nail down, and it's going to feel like different things to different people. For me, when my energy is when it's internal, it feels like a sort of undulating, like slow swimming kind of weight. Like it does have a weight to it. And there's a slight tingle to it, like a slight buzz, but it isn't until I have it in like the palms of my hands, like I'm focusing it into something, that it really feels very buzzy, very tingly, kind of like static electricity. But for other people, it may feel a different way. It may have like a specific temperature to it, or like for me, it's kind of heavy. For you, it might actually be lighter. It's very different for everybody, just like the visualization is. One resource to really help you nail that down if you are struggling to feel that and to get your consciousness in different parts of your body, New Energy Ways. And it's actually a completely free PDF online. I did do a review of it, so I'll link the review video as well as the free PDF down below in the description box for you. So now that technique I mentioned with the finger, you're just basically going to apply it to the rest of your body. You can start wherever you like. Now, for me, like I said, I've been doing this for years. I can kind of gather from every direction all at once, but you might want to start with your head or your hands or your feet. So let's say you start with your feet. You're relaxed. You're in that sort of meditative, relaxed pose, whatever that is for you, and focus your consciousness, your attention on your feet. Remember, you are visualizing your energy in your body. Now, I want you to slowly start gathering up all the energy that's in your feet and start moving it up your body. Nice and slow. Take it easy. We don't need to rush through this. You're gonna move it up through your feet, from your toes, through your feet, up past your ankles, up to your knees, and then eventually through your knees, all the way up until it's gonna sort of find a place somewhere along the center of your body. Let it just naturally kind of find whatever spot it likes, but collect it up somewhere in that central column, that line of where your chakras are. And I know for me, that does tend to collect sort of in my chest, kind of like just above the solar plexus. But for some people, that might be their stomach, that might be their third eye. It might even be at a point somewhere between two chakras. So then, of course, we're gonna apply the same technique to the whole rest of the body. You're gonna go from the top of the head and gather all of that down into it, and then from the fingertips all the way up both arms. You can try doing them both at once. I suggest if you're just starting out, just do one arm at a time. Start with one leg at a time. The other leg, one arm, the other arm, you get it. But you're taking energy from every point in your body and you are just compacting it. You are collecting it and gathering it in this one central point until it's sort of like a densely packed sphere of energy. And like I said, whatever this looks like to you, that's fine. That's what's right for you. It's not wrong if it doesn't, look to you or feel to you like it does anybody else's. Once I have that point, it's sort of like a pulsating, gyrating sphere. It's still that cloud that I mentioned earlier with the purple electricity shooting through it. And now it's a lot heavier. But again, for you, it might be a temperature difference. It might be tingling. It might be numbing. It might be, all kinds of different feelings and sensations that you might get from it. But again, it shouldn't be any bad sensations. I also find that it feels different when it's moving through different points of my body. For instance, I have a bad knee that I injured a long time ago. And sometimes when I'm moving energy past that specific knee, it sort of feels like it's kind of snagging as it goes. It eventually passes through. It's just not as smooth as, like my uninjured elbow or something, for instance. And anytime I pass energy, I move energy past my stomach, I get sort of that stomach flip, that just a small one, but I get that stomach flip that you kind of get on a big drop on a roller coaster. So you might feel different sensations. Just understand that none of it's a bad thing. It's natural and it's fine. So finally, you've got all that energy in one place now. It's all collected, it's all gathered together. It can go anywhere. So typically, if you are doing something like spell work, or you're charging an item, or you're doing some energy healing, you are going to split that up and you are going to direct it out your hands. For some people, that might be with the assistance of something like a wand or an athame, or something to direct that energy. If you guys have been around on my channel for long enough, you probably know that I just like working with my bare hands. So for me, I let all that energy gather up in the palms of my hands. Like I said, once it's sort of external, I can feel it tingling, kind of like static electricity. And I would use that to, hold an item and charge it up. You can also do that if you are creating something like an energy ball. But keep in mind that centering isn't just for spell work. It is also for, maybe you want to direct that energy, you have a shoulder injury. Maybe you want to direct all that energy there into the shoulder injury and let it, if you have a particular type of energy healing that you practice, I'm not trying to be specific here, but just sort of, you might want to work with it in that area. So if you do a specific type of energy healing, don't come after me if that's not how I do it, because I'm generalizing here. You can also use it to alleviate energy in a certain area. Like if your stomach's kind of upset because you're nervous, you got butterflies in your stomach and they're kind of just making you more anxious, move the energy away from that area. Take all that energy that's there and pull it upward. And that's centering. It's centering is literally taking your energy and putting it in your center. It's really simple. Like I said, it just may take a little bit of practice to get kind of the focus down, and to really feel it moving. If you have any questions about centering, go ahead and drop those in the comments below. I am happy to answer all the questions that you have. For now, let's go ahead and move on to grounding. Grounding is a way in which you can either draw in more energy if you need more energy. You can also dispel excess energy. And in addition to that, it's also a really great way to get yourself in tune and connected to the earth, as well as other elements. This is something that I love to do during meditation, not to exchange energy, but just to give myself that connection to the earth, really commune with it. And I also find it to be very comforting and very calming. It's a very peaceful activity. So a few reasons why you might want to ground. So if you've ever done a ritual and you got yourself really amped up with energy, maybe not even consciously thinking about it, you just raised energy, you did your spell, and then afterward you were just jittery, or maybe you couldn't sleep that night. I know that happened to me a lot before I learned how to ground. So that is one reason why you might want to dispel some of that excess energy. Then you have the opposite end of the spectrum, where you do a spell and you're using all of your own personal energy, and by the end of it, you are just completely exhausted, completely depleted, and you just want to go to bed at 3 p.m. or whatever. Those are two of the things that grounding can help you prevent. The reason I went over centering first is you will want to center your own energy before you ground yourself, but in addition to that, it sort of teaches you the basics on moving energy through your body. So really, once you have that energy movement down, grounding is easy. I like to ground myself before ritual, stay connected during, and then ground again afterward. Beforehand, it's, so I can pull up some extra energy to help power my spell so I'm not just completely depleting my energy stores. Afterward, I like to maintain that connection. That way, if I need a little extra, I can grab it. And also, if I'm just like to that point where I've got so much energy buzzing around in me that I'm just like getting jittery, I can't focus, maybe my mind starts drifting away or racing, I'll send a little bit back down. And then afterward, anything that is leftover excess, I return back to the earth, A, because I want to be able to sleep before 3 a.m. and B, because, that's energy that I borrowed and I don't need it. So let me just go ahead and give it back. Just like with centering, this is sort of just the way that I choose to do it, the way that I was taught how to do it, but lots of different people will have lots of different styles. Some different magical traditions will have different styles. Once again, as always, just do whatever works for you. I'm going to tell you mine, and at the end I will give you a couple of alternatives in case maybe you don't feel the most connection with the earth, maybe you feel more of a connection with a particular element. But we'll get to that when we get to it. Now, don't get me wrong, I love doing this barefoot, outside, standing up, but it doesn't always work out that way. That's just not always possible. So I want you to know, you can do this shoes on in a fifth story apartment if you need to. You can do this sitting, standing, laying down, laying on your front, laying on your back, laying on your side. My focus with this is usually on my feet, but you don't have to connect to the earth with your feet. You can use your hands, you can use your back, your forehead. It's whatever works for you. The whole point of this practice is using your mind to psychically reach out and connect with the earth. So however that feels most comfortable and most powerful for you will absolutely work. I'm just going to use feet as an example because that's what I use and just to make this description easier, but just do what works for you. So after you've centered, you have your ball of energy. It's focused in your center point, whatever that is for you. Hold on to the feeling and the visualization of that condensed energy. From there, imagine small roots or tendrils sprouting out from the bottom of that little sphere of energy, and allow that energy, those energy tendrils or roots, I like to think of them as roots, like you're a plant planting yourself in the earth, grounding into the earth. Anyway, you're gonna feel that energy spreading out, branching out down your legs, down through your stomach, down your legs. Really hold on to that visual and hold on to that feeling because you don't want that energy to just travel to the legs and then dissipate. So again, it may take a little practice. Allow it to travel all the way down the legs to the bottoms of your feet. Feel it completely spread out through the whole flat of the bottom of your foot, the bottom of each of your individual toes. And then allow that energy to sink down, still in that form of roots or tendrils, reaching down, 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 down. Eventually, it is going to connect to the earth. Once it touches the earth's surface, allow it to continue stretching, reaching down deeper, deeper, really burrowing into the earth. We're getting deep in there. Like I said, these are roots. We don't want to just like tap the top of the earth. We really want to connect with it. So we're going to burrow our energy, that psychic connection, deep into the earth, and allow those roots to tap into the earth's energy as well. This is an exchange of energy. So you can either push energy down into the earth through this connection, or you can pull energy up from the earth with this connection. So if you don't want to deplete all of your energy stores, you are going to slowly start drawing it up. Again, just imagine Think of it as like the roots of a tree drawing in moisture, drawing in water from the soil around it. You are the tree. The earth is the earth. And then the water is that energy that you are pulling up. So just like with your centering, once you pull that energy up through the roots, up into the bottoms of your feet, slowly that earth energy, allow it to run up your body to that central sphere and allow it to join it there. I like to maintain that connection while I'm doing my working if the purpose of this is to get energy for spellcraft, but it's entirely up to you. It's a constant flow. So after some practice, this really should be a pretty easy exercise where you can just easily add a little more or send a little bit back. And so yeah, at the end of my working, I'm gonna send that excess energy back down into the earth. So I'm essentially just doing the same thing in reverse. Anything that's extra that I don't need for the rest of the day, I'm going to send back down my body through the roots and send it back to the earth. I like to disconnect as a slow process. I find it a little less jarring than just like, okay, now I'm done. So I like to release any excess energy I don't need, send it back down, and then I just imagine my roots pulling back up. And now they're not shriveling, right? They're not dying off. So I like to really, I like to work this as sort of that energy sphere that I've centered is sort of pulling them, reeling them back in. And now, I guess I probably should have included this in the section on centering. When you are done working with that ball of energy, when you don't need to direct it anymore, you can allow it to just disperse. Allow it to naturally kind of flood back out throughout the entirety of your body. So a couple of alternatives. This is sort of the same concept. It's just maybe using a different energy source as opposed to the earth. If you have a deep connection, maybe with the wind, for you, you may want to stand outside, maybe put your palms up and feel the breeze against the inside of your palms and connect with it that way. Same thing. Allow those roots to come out. You could do the same thing with perhaps the sun or the moon overhead. In this case, you may use, perhaps the top of your head to connect to it. Allow those roots to kind of raise off, connect to it. Connect to it like maybe sunbeams or moonbeams. It doesn't even necessarily have to be roots. It's really whatever you feel the most in tune with. I do recommend that you try at least one time to ground yourself with the earth, because the earth is really where we all come from. The earth supplies us with just about everything that we need. So that stockpile of energy there is very, very vast. And having that deep connection with the earth, like really feeling that psychic connection is so important, because we're always connected to the earth, of course, but we don't always take the time to like stop and appreciate it and say, hey, I'm gonna borrow some of this. Hey, have some of that. So outside of magic, this is also just a really good way to meditate, as I already mentioned, but also to rid yourself of any excess energy. So if you're feeling anxious, like maybe you're so anxious that you're just like jittery, you're shaking, or you're scared, or you're angry, and you just have that excess negative energy, send that down. Don't worry, the earth isn't gonna be like, don't send me your negative energy, because the earth is a neutral source. The energy held there is neutral. So once it leaves you, it's fine. But yeah, so if you're feeling stressed out or in any way not peaceful, allow the earth to take that burden away from you. Send it back down. If you need to calm yourself down before a confrontation or a public speaking event or anything like that, a crowded party, just take a moment, step away, go to the restroom if you need to, and just take a moment and ground yourself. Another little fun bonus tip is to also carry like a stone or a particular crystal with you that you can also use for essentially the same thing. If you don't have the time or the ability to stop and fully ground yourself, carry something with you that you can allow, just like hold it in the palm of your hand, tether yourself to that and allow it to absorb that excess energy or that negative energy from you. Now, if you have any questions on grounding, or as I mentioned earlier, on centering, go ahead and leave those in the comments below. I will try to get to them as quickly as possible. In the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning in. This was pretty fun to talk about because it's sometimes nice to just kind of get back to the basics and talk about them, both to teach others, but also because I feel like sometimes I take these practices for granted because I've been doing them for a really long time. They're just sort of like automatic, and I haven't really thought about for quite a while like how that actually feels, like how that, like describing aloud how something physically feels or how something looks to me. Thank you all so much for letting me share with you. If you learned something new or if you just enjoyed the video, make sure to please hit that thumbs up. And if you're brand new here, welcome. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and subscribe so you catch all of my content, and hit the little notification bell so you don't miss out when I release a new video or if I'm going on a live stream. And because I think I completely forgot to mention it in all previous videos this month, I am going live this month, third Sunday of every month. So this month, July 2021, that is going to be the 18th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I hope to see you all then. Come prepared with your questions. I always do a little Q&A. I'm not sure about a topic just yet, but we've got a few more videos coming out before that happens anyway, so I will see you all soon.